product marketing is a marathon, but sometimes you really do need to slow down to speed up. So approach it with grace and gratitude for everyone that helps you along the way. So you continue nurturing those relationships, and the relationships that you build are really that key to success that you can take not just at the company that you're at, but forward in your career as you continue to grow and evolve.
You are listening to This is Product Marketing, brought to you by Product Marketing Hive, the product marketing community that gives back. Product Marketing Hive and this podcast are supported by Product Marketing Edge, a technology product marketing consulting firm. In this episode, Rossmary Gil-Tian shares her experience of being a product marketer in an IPO-Bound company. Let's dive into it right now. Hi, Rossmary. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Louise. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here today.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into product marketing?
Sure. A bit interesting of a background to say the least. While I was a product manager in a med tech company, I was inspired by all the product marketing work that I was helping out with, and honestly, just how much fun I was having. I was helping the product marketer that we had on staff with competitive recon, webinars, conferences as a product SME. And my interest in marketing really grew from there. Over time, I concluded that marketing is where all the happy people are. So I applied to NYU while working full time, pursuing my degree. And around graduation, I was offered the opportunity to join the newly rebuilt marketing team. So I did as a general marketer. And after a year of everything from revamping the website, owning social media, demand gen, launching products, and much more, I realized I wanted to specialize in product marketing, as that's what I found to be the most complex, yet the most interesting, especially given my product background. So I moved into the ad tech space actually, because I just wanted more liberty in a sense from a product marketing perspective. And from there, I grew to join Integral Ad Science, and I was there for over 4 years. Then I moved on to GumGum, and most recently, I've just been doing a lot of freelancing. I really do love and enjoy the complexities and the interesting nature of product marketing. Getting close to the product is it's definitely an exciting one and complicated, but the opportunity and runway of how much you can do and how much fun you can have is truly there with product marketing.
Thank you. This is very inspiring to hear. Let's talk about your product marketing experience at Integral Ad Science. And that company, your role evolved from the senior product marketer to the director of product marketing as the company grew towards an IPO. How did you navigate the transition from an individual contributor to a more of a leadership role within the product marketing function?
Great question. Yeah, at the time of my transition, we had just been acquired by Vista Equity Partners. They're the fourth largest software company in the world. And there were a lot of changes happening throughout the company at the time. More significantly, there was turnover of staff on the product marketing team, which required me to rebuild the product marketing team from scratch with a newly hired senior product marketer and friend, Lynn. And what did this mean? I went from owning 3 product lines as a senior PMM within one business line and as a director to owning over 10 plus products across 2 of the business lines. And Lynn took on the third line. And it kept just getting better. It wasn't just about the changes on the team, but it was also about the fact that it was all happening at the end of Q3 leading into Q4. And as a marketing team, we were at a point of re-engineering all of our go-to-market operations and software, while also working on 2 big projects that directly impacted product marketing heavily. So the first was buyer persona research, which we outsourced to BPI per Vista's recommendation, and that helped us to move really fast on having that research. But the second was creating our marketing plan for the new year, of which, of course, product marketing provides the foundation per the product roadmap. So it was definitely the most amazing opportunity just with the growth of the company and all the changes that were happening, as it allowed me to imagine a new world for product marketing. And that really began with how we operated, roles and responsibilities of the team that I was now going to build. And I knew I needed to hire 3 new product marketers, and that meant I needed to do a few things to onboard them rapidly as we were in this hyper growth mode. So I set to work on creating a new and easily repeatable go to market process and all the standards that go with that. I also looked at how I grouped the different product lines per product marketer to own. And at a cross functional level, I also led ideating and rolling out to stakeholders go to market tiering with SLAs and activities per tier. All of this allowed me to really just showcase both my strategic and tactical sides as I worked on everything critical from the product launches that we had to do to the strategy until I had the team restaffed out. So I was able overall to really build those direct relationships with all of the stakeholders working on go to market across the 2 business lines. And I feel like that really just strengthened my ability to lead with confidence.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us to paint the behind the scene pictures. So, how did your perspective on product marketing change as you move into this more senior leadership role within the context of the company's growth?
Yeah. So with, my perspective on product marketing didn't change per se. It was more that my thought process leveled up. I thought more broadly about the business line and how my team and I could drive greater impact to our cross-functional stakeholders. So thinking about the marketing team overall that I sat within, the sales team, and also ultimately really thinking about the corporate level OKRs. I also thought more about strategic clients such as the holding companies such as Group M and Publicis, as well as the partnerships that we held with big players in the space such as Google and Meta, and how we could better engage them overall. So, what I mean by that is how could we deepen our relationships further in order to really grow the investments from their portfolios when it came to the clients, but also deepening our partnership and growing our footprint, going broader and deeper with those partners with the integrations that we had in place and how much more of their portfolio we could cover overall, right? Garnering ourselves even more clients given we were expanding across their different offerings.
So, during this company's growth phase, what were some of the biggest challenges you've run into as a product marketer and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we were going through this hyper growth stage, and the spotlight, especially from the board, came onto product marketing. Interestingly enough, we became the pet project of one of the chairmen of the board after our acquisition by Vista, and his aim was to essentially level us up and improve how we operated and executed. And it was great. His outsider perspective was really refreshing, and all his career experience was game changing for us. As difficult as it was to have that spotlight and that hyper focus and support, it was, overall, we needed to iterate as rapidly as we could. And it actually also really helped us as the CMO, Maria, also began to hyper focus on us with him. And she has a product marketing background, which really helped us to continue to level up as a product marketing team. She also brought on a seasoned product marketing consultant, Liza, to help support the team with all the work that we were doing from a strategic standpoint, as well as some of the more tactical nuances that we had to tackle given we were a small team rebuilding. But at the same time, we were also adopting and making our own the Vista recommended ways to operate as a product marketing team. So certainly a good amount of challenges, but lots of opportunity. And I would say that overcoming the spotlight focus and implementing Vista recommendations, it really helped us feel supported in the sense of all of the folks that were hyper focused on product marketing. And with all that support, I was able to show more support to my team as well as the cross-functional teams who were, of course, experiencing the impact of the challenges that we were working through, right? A new way to work, a new way to operate, but also operate with efficiency and even further structure. So overall, I would say it was very much a one team mentality as we re-engineered and leveled up both our strategic and tactical approaches, as well as how we managed the go-to-market engine and drove growth and revenue through the different areas of expertise and ownership. So I would say, big lesson to share is it's really about, overcoming the challenges is really about having that right mindset and personality to handle it. I reminded myself and my team to take it all in stride. Agility is definitely the name of the game. And I always like to hire product marketers who are curious, creative, collaborative, and gritty. And, the product marketing career track is really well suited for those who, enjoy the long game, but also know how to sprint with ease and enjoy that rush of spontaneity.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your success story of streamlining and unifying the go-to-market processes?
For sure, I would say this was leading up to IPO. It was, as I mentioned earlier, and it was a big focus on how we could run faster, right? But in order to run fast, you need to slow down. And one of the key things for us, especially for me in having to rebuild the team, was really all about streamlining and unifying the go to market process. So, what I mean by that is introducing standards to our launch process. So, I mentioned this previously, was introducing go to market tiers. So, I'll take a step back from there. One of the things that I did early on was to make sure that we aligned first with product on what do we mean when we say GA, right? And when we think about alpha, beta, and GA, you know, let's think about GA. It's not just when the code is complete. We have to make sure that that's great. The code is complete. We've tested everything out. But when we look to roll out an offering to the broader audience, do we have everything that we need to support both the internal stakeholders, so from sales to the overall go to market teams, as well as thinking about the clients and having everything that we need for them? And of course, having everything we need for lead generation right down the road. So that unified definition of GA introduced a way to better operate for us. And by that, I mean, introducing go to market tiers. So it was about sizing the products that we were working on from, looking at it, is this a high impact to the customer, a high impact to the business, or is it a medium or low? And a high meaning this is something that is a huge differentiator for us. This is game changing. This is going to have a big impact to the revenue. Is this a first to market? And what does that mean? That means that, we're going to need at least 8 weeks of runway for us to become buttoned up as an overall team, to make sure that we have everything we need to enable those go to market teams, also to have that thoughtful and strategic marketing plan and everything that goes on after it, right? Once we go GA, that's just the beginning. There's that rolling thunder and that nurturing that we need to do as we're driving adoption of the offerings. And when we think about, other tiers, whether it's a medium or a low impact go to market, those require a lot less effort to enable as well as to set up strategic marketing campaigns. So having that understanding and that alignment with our product counterparts, but also introducing that concept, that sizing, and again, all the structure and templates that we needed to have in place to run fast was really, really helpful, because it got to the point where even when we connected as a product marketing team and product team on a bi-weekly to monthly basis to review how all the different products were moving along, all the different go-to-markets were moving along during those sprints that we were active in, we were able to spend more time on those that were of high impact and having greater discussion and visibility into those, where those that were, let's go with a low impact, which required maybe a few people to know and be aware about it, or, just simple communication that needed to go out. So us being more strategic on the way that we approached it, it also led to a focus from the cross-functional counterparts all the way up to the CEO to, not asking about the million and one go-to-markets that we were working on, but really focusing, on those high impact go-to-markets. And that just leveled up the conversation across the entire company. And it also was great because you could see the difference in the go-to-market teams where they were just more confident because they understood, yes, we have, let's say, 20 go-to-markets that we're working on. New things are going to be rolled out, in the coming month or so. But these are the ones that these high ones are the ones that we're going to get the deeper training on, the deeper support, the deeper in-market activity from the marketing team. So I could say so much more about that. Feel free if you want to ask me anything specific to it.
That makes sense. So when you setting up this tiering system with the rest of cross-functional teams, did you run into any hurdles or any communication troubles or pushbacks from other teams?
Yeah, of course. Nothing is going to be super easy. It became more of just questions where everyone, right? It's an open and collaborative environment, and everyone was humble about it, right? Like, what exactly do you mean by this? And it was that alignment piece, right? It wasn't just setting this mandate out. So it was an alignment of, okay, as we look at every go to market with the product team, what is this, a high, right? Is this a medium? Is this a low? And it was great because it introduced conversations as we thought about, right? We had so many different product lines, so many different product teams, and it was learning from each other as we were sizing different go to markets, and we were able to think about it more strategically as an overall, product marketing team, product team. And also as we spoke with other stakeholders and we discussed, those different go to markets, how we assigned them, at times we had to resize them. It wasn't, if we thought about it from a product perspective and a product marketing perspective, this is how much effort we think it's going to take. But then when we went out to the other cross-functional stakeholders, sales would chime in and let us know, we'd love to get a little bit more education, a little bit more support here, so things that we thought were a medium, we would have to elevate up to a high because we would need to provide them more support. And the more support from a marketing perspective was, you know, could we get a white paper on this or some sort of mini guide, right? Just more elements, or, we think we're going to need more support from marketing on seeding this into the market. Could we get more of a runway on something like that, right? So it was definitely just conversations where we at times went and we sized up or we sized down, because it really did require that cross-functional input for us to have the right expectations, right? And it was about expectation setting across the board, and everyone being clear on their roles and responsibilities depending on the go-to-market tier that we were working on.
Thank you for sharing. So, what are the lessons that you learned from this experience that you believe is valuable for other product marketers to take away, especially for those working in the fast-growing companies?
Yeah, I would say it's about having, a few fundamental pillars of operating. So, being a product marketer in a fast-growing company, hyper growth stage, agility is huge. How you respond to every interaction that you're having, to every project, you can only plan so much, and the rest you really have to take it in stride and go where the wind blows you, in a sense. So, product marketing at any stage and at any level is very much a spontaneous role. Maybe you can only plan, about 30% of your day, and the rest you have to give yourself grace as requests come in from sales, right? Is it RFIs, RFPs? Is there, something that hit the news that we need to have a POV on for the teams to be able to go out and message? Is there something that's changing on the demand gen side or on the content marketing side where we're thinking about doing a new thought leadership piece because we're seeing that things aren't moving as quickly as we want them to, right? So it's very much having that agile mindset. I would say the second thing is being very much methodical. Being as structured as you can be will save you and everyone around you so much time. And when it comes to putting structure in place, it really introduces that organization, but it's about that predictability. And predictability automatically introduces confidence and trust and clarity into every interaction that you have. So when I think about being methodical, I think about, a few things. It's about your communication style, being structured and organized in how you're communicating and understanding your counterparts that you're communicating with. So thinking, and even asking the questions to folks, how are you more productive? Should I engage you via email or Slack? Is it on a call? Is it working in that shared document? You know, when it comes to your working style, like what's the best way to work with you and how do you like to work with others and sharing with others, this is how I like to communicate. This is how I work best. Also from an execution standpoint, sharing with others, this is what I deliver, this is what I don't deliver. And, just finding that sense of alignment with your stakeholders so they're clear, right? At any and every organization, product marketing means slightly different things. So having that alignment on what you work on, what you don't work on, and, being comfortable with also asking for help, especially in fast moving companies. This key to success is really being in that we're in one team, that one team mindset. And, the earlier that you can ask for help or call out when help is needed, the earlier people know to step in and, being humble about that in a sense and being open. And by being that way, that also introduces that comfort and that rapport that you're building with folks where they can also flag things for you, right? Because as a product marketer, we are the champions and we're guiding that go to market from beginning to end in terms of the success for it. So if you're aligned with your stakeholders and you're clear and everyone has that comfort and that trust in place and that confidence in place, it makes your success so much easier in terms of just the overall support that you've built overall. Could say much, much more, but I'll stop there.
I love our conversation today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was great. I hope this is helpful to the product marketers or in their careers, or if they're new folks thinking of jumping into product marketing. I hope this gave you a nice insight and preview into what it's like to be a product marketer.
Thank you for tuning in to This is Product Marketing, brought to you by Product Marketing Hive, a product marketing community that gives back. Check out our website, productmarketinghive.com, to join our community, meet fellow product marketers, and access free resources. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe and give a 5-star rating on the platform of your choice. See you next time.